Bob Ross, Bulls, Brantley. Growing up on the south side of Chicago, that's where I established a lot of, my early childhood relationships and friendships and, even, art styles and, learn how to play basketball. So it's definitely sort of embedded in my DNA. I am Chicago. I bleed for this city. This is my city. And, the south side grew me. I first realized I wanted to be an artist around the time, I think, when like coloring books first became a thing. My mom might take that one page out of 40 that I've colored and, put it on the refrigerator for a couple days or weeks. That's one of the earliest memories I have, just where that felt good, felt natural, felt right. My first influences were cartoons. I think that was sort of the first art form that really held my attention and the first thing that I started to emulate. Sorry. My work represents a few different things. One, mainly is hope. It's approachable, it's a little whimsical, it has some social commentary, but ultimately I want to leave people with a good feeling. I want to, engage with that light. I think that certain people let go dim within them. I use a lot of different influences in the work. Superheroes is one theme that I think is a sort of a reoccurring thing. I feel personally that we don't have enough of that feeling of upliftment, that feeling of being protected, that feeling of being watched over. I'm not that... Oh, man. As the demand for the work has grown, it's been really important for me to have a solid team around. We do a lot more merchandising than just straight up painting or sculpting. And so, needing someone to head up the graphics or take a design that I've created and embellish it a bit further, it's really important, and it's a lot of back and forth. I think allowing for me to sort of be able to share things in the moment, has definitely kept the creative energy up and high. And, it's just like doing a lot more collabs with different companies. Being able to sort of tap into something really fast and, they get it back to me and it's seeing what that is and having these changes and implementing things on the fly has really helped out a lot. Now let's talk about heroes, okay? We're talking about a man that revolutionized the Canadian tux. We need a Bob Ross day. That idea that I can just wake up and make cool stuff, or what I perceive as cool, I think that alone is what helps motivate me and get my butt out of bed every morning. Because, you gotta create. As a kid, growing up, reading a ton of comics, I have a very weird affinity for green heroes. I'm a huge Incredible Hulk fan. I do have a Hulk tattoo, much to my wife's chagrin. I grew up loving all of these characters and none of them looked like me, talked like me, came from where I came from. Within the canon of comics, there really hasn't been many characters of color that exist. And so what could that look like? That was the birth of the Flyboy. In creating the character, I was definitely inspired by the Tuskegee Airmen. They were an all-black fighter battalion. At the time, blacks weren't seen as equal, that flew these missions all successfully. How powerful it was, being able to soar above it all. I just thought that would make for a cool character. But to give it a little bit of a modern twist, I came from a graffiti background, so I drew like these little bug-eyed boys. There's a lot of research, gathering the information through images first. Having a tool like Pinterest, I use it a lot. It's the early roadmap, and those are super crucial to have. Flyboy, he's born and bred from Nevermore, an immersive art experience on the southeast side of Chicago. Traditionally in galleries, it's look, don't touch. I wanted to create a full experience. Look, touch, run around, play. It's like a jolt of inspiration. The Flyboy becomes aspirational in ways that comics did for me when I was younger. It can be really powerful to have a character that you connect with, that you feel like could be a friend, you know, speak the way that you do, and it feels genuine, it feels authentic. I mean, that's strong, man. All right. Hebru Brantley, visual artist, father, part-time hand model, all-around nice guy. A lot of the work that I do, I try to make from a personal place, in a space that, you know, is very relatable to myself and very, you know, honest. You know, just painting what I know is sort of the easiest thing, I guess. Overall, I've been sort of stuck in this space of like mythology and using certain characters to push certain narratives. Well, with mythology, you know, like, I guess one of the biggest things that, like, I sort of always wrestle with and trying to find is that, like, you know, with African Americans, sort of that detachment to our own, like, ancestry and culture. It's sort of this thing that I was exploring for a while, which is kind of like the new gods, where I appropriated classic, like, heroes, Marvel heroes, DC guys, and made them people of color. But, you know, I guess within my own space and sort of whimsically just kind of gave them their own sort of lore and backstory, as you would most of these gods in mythology. Well, with, you know, Flyboy and Lil Mama, was Flyboy more direct. You know, it was just me sort of creating a character of color from a historical place. You know, so it was me just looking at history and the few heroes that we have, notable at least, you know, within the populace, and just looking at the Tuskegee Airmen and sort of modernizing that look and that tale and, again, that mythology, that mythos. And so that's sort of where it started. It was just wanting to have my own set characters that I could use in repetition to, like, tell, to be a filter for what I wanted to say, basically. First step of my creative process, it's always different. It just depends upon what I have access to, what's in front of me, what it is I'm creating, you know. Sometimes it's a little bit more methodical. Sometimes it's just sort of spur of the moments, like, you know, just to get it out. Do I feel creatively blocked? I think, you know, I think everyone has those moments. I don't think for me, I think in the way that I create, it's kind of hard for me to. I don't really feel a lot of moments where I'm, like, completely sort of artistically stifled. I think that a lot of times, you know, if one thing isn't working or coming the way that I want it to, I sort of shift the focus onto something else that I had waiting in the wings. A lot of artists, especially young artists and African-American artists, I think we find Basquiat first because, you know, that sense of rebelliousness, that sort of youthful form of expression that's easy to sort of digest, to the point where when we land on him, we feel like art is obtainable. At the end of the day, I sort of arrived at my understanding of high art through, you know, Picasso and Basquiat. So, you know, it's just, he's my, like my totem character, you know. I think it's moment to moment. I think if you asked me that yesterday, it would be a different answer today. You know, I just feel like, you know, as I go and create and do things, you know, I'm constantly in a different space all the time. So, you know, I don't think that there's sort of that one thing. You know, there might be that one project, you know, in which sort of has me locked in, but not necessarily like a certain thing, you know, or callback.
but it's always, it's in constant change.